Get down! Stay down!
The cartels know now that the U.S. will not stand by idly.
The movie commences by portraying the bustling activity within Mexico's largest illicit drug manufacturing facility. Envision piles of narcotics being meticulously prepared and packaged discreetly under the radar. The United States Drug Enforcement Administration, DEA, reaches a tipping point, with a particular focus on apprehending the kingpin of the notorious cartel, a man by the name of Memo Lucero. After extensive sleuthing and piecing together of clues, the DEA, led by the determined duo Shaw Vetter and his comrade Demetrius Hicks, a former gangster turned ally, receives a crucial tip. At this juncture, Lucero is hosting a grandiose party for his criminal associates in Tijuana. Seizing the opportunity, Sean, Demetrius, and their DEA team swiftly arrive at the party, executing a rapid and decisive assault. They neutralize the guards and create chaos using smoke grenades. In an all-out offensive, they apprehend as many individuals as possible. Lucero, known for his elusive nature, attempts to evade capture with his crew. However, Sean is relentless in his pursuit, outmaneuvering Lucero's associates and ultimately placing handcuffs on the elusive kingpin. The head of the DEA, Frost, expresses admiration for Sean's audacious move, patting him on the back for successfully executing such a bold operation. Shortly after successfully completing his mission, Sean returns to the United States and reunites with his wife, Stacy. However, the elation of victory is short-lived as the U.S. government jubilantly declares the downfall of the cartel's power. Behind the scenes, a sinister force emerges, a ruthless gang led by an individual known as El Diablo. El Diablo's gang systematically eradicates the remnants of Lucero's crew, even seizing control of a drug manufacturing facility formerly owned by Lucero. Meanwhile, Lucero, confined in an American jail, receives alarming news about El Diablo's ominous activities. In response, he reaches out to his contact on the outside, Raman Caden, instructing him to be vigilant regarding their fellow gang members. Lucero also seeks assistance from his associate Mateo Santos, tasking him with devising a plan to confront El Diablo and his gang. Unfortunately, the situation takes a dark turn when Marta, a member of El Diablo's crew, unexpectedly murders Raman shortly after their conversation with Lucero. The next day, Vetter decides to host a party, inviting close friends, including an old accomplice from his gangster past, Big Sexy. Word spreads about Raman's death, prompting concern from Frost, who expresses the urgency of addressing the escalating situation. However, Vetter remains focused on enjoying a good time with his pals, seemingly unfazed by the looming threat posed by El Diablo and his gang. On the flip side, all the illicit dealings orchestrated by Lucero found a new home in El Diablo's territory. Forming an alliance, El Diablo collaborated with an American gangster, Slayton, widely recognized as Hollywood Jack, ensuring the seamless transition of all the nefarious activities. Once the relocation was complete, Slayton instructed his associate Hondo to eliminate Vetter, recognizing him as a potential threat to their illicit operations in the United States. During the night, Vetter narrowly escaped a close call when 3 hired assassins infiltrated his room. Despite sustaining a gunshot wound to the stomach, Vetter skillfully incapacitated all assailants. In an attempt to extract information, he interrogated one of the hitmen, but unfortunately, his efforts proved fruitless. In a frantic state, Vetter checked on his wife Stacy, who had also been shot, and promptly called for assistance. Fast forward a few weeks, Vetter regained consciousness in the hospital, with his comrades Frost and Hicks steadfastly at his side. However, his shock deepened upon learning that Stacy had tragically passed away just days before his awakening. Overwhelmed with grief, Vetter attempted to leave the hospital, finding solace and support from Hicks, who helped him stay steady. Once out of the hospital, Hicks accompanied Vetter to visit Stacy's grave. In that poignant moment, Vetter was consumed by heartbreak, spending much of his time alone, grappling with sorrow and drowning his emotions in alcohol. Gradually, his grief transformed into an insatiable desire for revenge against those implicated in Stacy's untimely demise. Following that, Vetter opted to engage in a conversation with Lucero, who was incarcerated, entertaining the notion that Lucero might have some connection to Stacy's murder. Initially reticent, Lucero loosened up a bit after Vetter handed him a cigarette. Lucero conveyed that if he had intended Vetter harm, he could have enlisted a hitman long before. Taking Lucero's words at face value, Vetter began to doubt if the cartel was truly responsible for Stacy's death. Subsequently, Vetter sought assistance from his friend Hicks in unraveling the mystery behind his wife's murder. They concluded that teaming up with Big Sexy, who remained active in street gangs, was their best shot. After briefing Big Sexy on the plan, he suggested venturing to Ghost Town, a locale known for its connections with local dealers. That night, the trio, accompanied by Big Sexy's drug-sniffing dog, headed to Ghost Town. The diligent canine quickly identified a car loaded with illegal drugs. As they investigated, a passerby informed them that the car's owner had succumbed to an overdose, pointing them toward a house notorious for local dealers. Following her lead, they explored the house, only to discover a grim scene: everyone inside was dead. Adding to the eerie atmosphere, the word Diablo was carved into one of the bodies. This unsettling clue led them to consider the involvement of El Deo's crew. As they attempted to piece together the puzzle, an unknown assailant descended from the ceiling, catching them off guard. After convincing the concealed individual to come down, Vetter pressed for answers regarding the massacre and the key figure orchestrating the drug scene in Ghost Town. Nevertheless, the individual wasn't inclined to share information initially. However, when Vetter brandished a gun, he quickly divulged the details. According to him, Slayton, connected with El Diablo, had assumed the role of the new big boss in the area. Subsequently, Vetter handed the informant over to the DEA for further interrogation. Armed with the newfound information, Vetter and Hicks tracked down Slayton, who apparently operated a salon as a front for drug dealing. Employing a sly tactic, Vetter posed as a cop and inspected Slayton's car plate, irritating him when he received an unjustified ticket. Despite persistent questioning about Ghost Town and its drug trade, Slayton remained composed, refusing to admit to his status as the new boss. Growing increasingly frustrated and unable to extract the desired answers, Vetter was on the verge of confronting Slayton. However, Hicks intervened to defuse the situation and prevent a public altercation. Meanwhile, a check on Slayton's plate turned up clean, leaving Vetter with no choice but to release him. Later on, Slayton casually visited a friend's place under the guise of a friendly drink, only to unexpectedly murder his friend. He promptly contacted Hondo, instructing his associates to distribute their drugs on the streets before other dealers could intervene. Slayton's frustration grew as Vetter lingered around, posing a threat to both his and El Deo's operations. Simultaneously, Mateo embarked on a mission to secure Lucero's wife and son in a safe location. Tragedy struck as their car exploded due to a gas leak, resulting in the demise of both. When Mateo expressed his condolences to Lucero, the latter was devastated and unforgiving. Lucero couldn't overlook Mateo's failure to protect his family, leading to doubts about Mateo's capabilities. In the depths of contemplation, Lucero recalled the tragic fate of Vetter's wife at the hands of El Deo's crew. United by shared pain, Lucero reached out to Vetter, proposing a collaboration to retaliate against El Diablo. After careful consideration, Vetter sensed Lucero's sincerity and agreed to join forces, seeing it as a potential route to El Diablo. Before parting ways, Lucero discreetly handed Vetter a note containing the name of a drug dealer to investigate. Without hesitation, Vetter headed straight to meet Pomona Joe at his renowned small bar in California. Adopting the guise of a drug buyer looking to distribute in the States and pretending to act on Lucero's behalf, Vetter aimed to gain Joe's favor. The ultimate goal was to entrap El Diablo and his gang in their pursuit of justice. Shortly after, Vetter and Joe engaged in a rather intense negotiation about the price. Eventually, Joe agreed to collaborate on the deal and even proposed providing a companion for Vetter. However, still grappling with the recent loss of his wife, Vetter declined the offer. In response, Joe playfully teased him, insinuating that he might be gay, provoking a strong reaction from Vetter. The situation escalated to the point where Joe and his gang faced a serious threat from Vetter. Fearing for his life, Joe attempted to de-escalate the tension and revealed details about the covert deal they would conduct the next day at the DEA office. Vetter, focused on the mission, led a strategic planning session on how to apprehend El Diablo or one of his associates during the upcoming deal. The plan involved DEA agents discreetly positioned at the deal location, ready to make an arrest when signaled by Vetter. Moving forward, Vetter met with Joe to carry out the clandestine drug deal away from prying eyes. When Joe contacted a member of El Deo's gang to verify Vetter's funds, Hondo, perhaps overconfident, admitted to the murder of a DEA agent's wife. Realizing Hondo's involvement in ordering the hit on his own wife, Vetter lost control, physically assaulting Hondo. Just as Joe attempted to enlist his undercover cop acquaintance to apprehend Vetter, another DEA agent unexpectedly appeared on the scene. Suddenly, an intense firefight erupted involving Hondo, the DEA, and Joe's gang. Vetter, seizing a fallen weapon, joined his DEA comrades in the battle until both Hondo and Joe's crew were incapacitated, resulting in the failed deal. Following the disastrous encounter and a perilous shootout that claimed the lives of 3 DEA agents, higher-ups decided Vetter needed a considerable break for his own well-being. Consequently, he was instructed to step back from missions for a substantial 6-month period. Recognizing the necessity of a breather after the loss of Stacy, Vetter reluctantly surrendered his badge. As he made his way home from the office, Vetter contemplated paying a visit to Lucero in jail to deliver the disheartening news that his revenge plan was temporarily on hold due to his badgeless status and the inability to rely on his DEA allies. Upon hearing this, Lucero shared a perspective with Vetter, suggesting that battling monsters might require becoming one. If Vetter genuinely aimed to bring down El Diablo, Lucero provided a valuable tip about the location of El Diablo's cash stash in Mexico. Lucero advised Vetter to seize the opportunity and use the funds for his vendetta. However, before diving into this endeavor, Lucero expressed a desire to be involved or consulted in some manner. Transferred to a more secure prison for his own safety, Vetter's unexpected day took a turn as he discreetly surveyed Joe's bar. To his surprise, Joe was miraculously alive and seemingly well. Recognizing the potential usefulness of Joe, especially in guiding him to the cash stash Lucero had alluded to, Vetter decided to re-establish contact. The day after, Vetter contemplated regrouping with Hicks, their former crew, and Big Sexy to collectively confront their shared enemy, El Diablo. However, Hicks, no longer the street-smart gangster he once was, initially declined, expressing concerns for his family's safety. Reluctantly accepting this decision, Vetter felt a sense of disappointment. Undeterred, Vetter set out to enlist other members from their former gang. In his absence, Hicks reflected on their relationship, acknowledging Vetter as a brother, prompting a change of heart. Realizing the importance of unity, Hicks decided to rally their old gangster associates after all. Soon after, Vetter, Hicks, and Big Sexy reunited, heading to Joe's bar with a plan to shake things up. They strategically cornered Joe, compelling him to make a purchase from El Dayo's operation under the menacing gaze of a gun. With no alternative, Joe contacted Slayton, informing him of the purchase and the cash payment. Upon hearing the news, Slayton was thrilled, recognizing not only a successful sale but also his first order destined for America. In a bid to make the deal extraordinary, Slayton decided on a special delivery, sending the goods via a private jet. As Slayton arrived at the deal location, Vetter was strategically positioned to apprehend him. Vetter, seeking information on El Diablo, confronted Slayton. Despite the looming threat of being buried alive, Slayton vehemently asserted his ignorance, emphasizing that all dealings with El Diablo occurred without face-to-face meetings. Taking Slayton's word, Vetter shifted his focus to Mexico, formulating a plan to apprehend the Mafia. Ingeniously, he concealed a listening device within the cash intended for El Diablo. In Mexico, Slayton passed the money to a member of El Dayo's crew. Due to a delay in the deposit, the Mafia's enforcers promptly shot Slayton on the spot. Following the tracking device, Vetter and his crew pursued the trail, eventually arriving at El Dayo's main base. Skillfully navigating through the premises, they subdued guards along the way until Vetter confronted El Diablo face to face. To his profound shock, Vetter discovered that the man he had been relentlessly pursuing was none other than Mateo. It was then that Mateo revealed the shocking truth: Lucero orchestrated the entire chaos, intending to exploit Vetter for his own escape plans during a prison transfer. As Vetter grappled with the staggering revelation, Mao's henchmen swiftly initiated an attack. In the nick of time, Hicks intervened, aiding Vetter in fending off the assailants. This triggered a frantic pursuit to apprehend Mateo, who attempted to escape through a water channel. The two clashed, resulting in Vetter sustaining a shot to the leg. Summoning the last of his strength, Vetter retaliated, ultimately shooting Mateo and ending his life on the spot. The following day delivered shocking news that Lucero had managed to slip away during a prison bus transfer. Driven by a mixture of responsibility and vengeance, Vetter headed directly to Lucero's hometown village, heavily guarded by Lucero's elite forces. Unfazed by the formidable security, Vetter's singular focus was on avenging his wife. Upon spotting Vetter in the village, Lucero was visibly stunned, having believed the DEA agent to be long dead at El Dayo's hands. Vetter, his heart pounding with a blend of anger and satisfaction, initially contemplated ending Lucero then and there. However, a different notion took hold: why not let Lucero face justice behind bars? Instead of pulling the trigger, Vetter handcuffed Lucero and signaled an undercover DEA agent to take charge of the arrest. In the concluding scenes, we find Vetter at Stacy's grave, moved to discover her tombstone replaced by a more beautiful one, a heartfelt gesture from Hicks and the crew. Silent thanks passed from Vetter to his steadfast friends who had always supported him. As the screen fades to black, the film reaches its conclusion. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell if you want to watch more videos like this. Thank you for watching and see you again soon. Take care.